Welcome back, everybody. We are joined now by my man, KorruptRonin.
What's going on, guys? Happy to have you here today. Also, supporting the FraggedNation community and the corrupt assassin community, pardon my French.
With a cam.
Yes, with a cam.
With a cam.
Finally. Don't kill me. Don't kill me.
We've got our other co-host, Young Ya, joining us today.
What's up, everybody? I am really happy to be here, and I'm happy to have you two here as well. So thank you for joining us.
The guys to the bottom of your screen are two of the main staples at Big Cake Games. We've got Ian Ratcliffe, am I saying that correctly, and Ray Wilmot.
Yeah, that's good.
Awesome. So, Ray, you are the story guy, correct? You do most of the story work?
I am, yeah.
And Ian is the head of PR. So that is who we are speaking with today. And wow, where do we start? We've got a ton of community questions, both from both sides of the boards today, regarding different things about the Metal Gear Remake, as well as a brand new IP from Big Cake Games, which is called Cold Horizon, which we're going to share some awesome info about today with these two guys. So, Young, you want to start us off?
Absolutely.
What kind of questions do we got for these guys?
So my first question, I guess this can go to both of you, is just tell us a bit about who you are and how you became involved in game development. What drove you to pursue a career in game development?
Well, with me, obviously I grew up playing games, playing like Crash Bandicoot and Metal Gear Solid, Tekken, Pokemon. Mm-hmm. So that was like the inspiration, but then it went into like Metal Gear Solid 2 come out. That was like the true inspiration, like the storytelling and stuff. Like it inspired me. Mm-hmm. But being in Liverpool, in the UK, for those who don't know, there's not a lot of courses or anything you can get. So when I seen the Metal Gear Remake getting advertised, that was my foot in the door really. So.
Mm-hmm. I see. And Ray, how about you? How'd you get involved in game development? I know you're a writer, but how'd you get involved with Big Cake Games, and what drove you to game development?
Similar to Ian, I've been an avid gamer since I was about 5, but my games were more like sort of the Secret Monkey Island and Amiga and Commodore stuff. So I'm way back in the dark days, Yeah. But last year I started writing narrative for a Welsh game dev company. It was for a match-free puzzler, and that sort of got me started because I'd actually been in the journalism side prior to that. From that point on, then I just basically got with the Big Cake Game Games when I have to ship that game, and I've been working on Cold Horizon ever since. So it's been great.
Awesome. I think I'm next, right?
Yeah.
You to go next. Awesome. So My question is more towards the Metal Gear Remake side. How far were you guys planning on taking the Metal Gear Remake when it was, a viable option? Were you guys planning to maybe do a remake of just one, or were you going to kind of stretch it from Metal Gear 1 to Metal Gear 2, or was it, like I said, just kind of comprised of the Metal Gear 1 storyline? How were you guys going to interpret that in a game with, mainly just readable codec messages?
To answer your first question, we had spoken about either moving on and doing the second one straight after we finished the first one, or bridging them two into one game. Obviously when we got shut down by Konami, that fell apart. But in terms of the story and stuff, obviously there's not much to the story. It doesn't really go in depth in the old one, so we're just going to expand on that really. Same with Codec calls. I and the writer at the time, Brian Kane, we started researching military stuff, and so we were going to include a lot of stuff in the Codec calls and that as well.
So the story was going to be influenced through the various codec calls that came through, and you guys were going to put your own kind of fandom spin on those items.
Yeah, it's like the 1 and 2 where it's just it's bringing up movies and stuff like that in the codec calls. We just wanted to make it as close to a Metal Gear game as we could. So
right. Well, that makes sense, and like you said, unfortunately, the project was closed, but it's still cool to see exactly what your guys' mindset was on that particular game. And then when we switch over here, we're going to talk a little bit about the Metal Gear Remake stuff first, and then we're going to branch out into the new Cold Horizon stuff that you guys have. But it's cool to kind of see, the depth that you guys were putting into a remake. Obviously, we're sure that's going to transfer over to, your own IP, if not more. So thank you for answering that. And our next question is coming from Ronin.
Yeah, my question, it pretty much is addressed to both of you guys, but I was kind of curious about whether guys, during development of the Metal Gear Remake, if you had any sort of, close communication with Konami themselves as the publisher, and, if you did, were they constantly keeping any sort of tabs on the progress you were making on it? Can you talk about that a bit?
It was me who handled all the communication with Konami. Initially, we were contacted by a couple of guys from Japan. Can't actually remember their names though. But ever since then, it was everything was through J4 from Konami UK.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't really see much of the project until everything that we released online, that was what they seen.
Right.
But they weren't like overshadowing the project. Like it was like when they first got in touch, they told us to take the mod database page down.
Mm-hmm.
And then from then, like it was mainly just like a back and forth of like, can we put it up? Yeah, can we not?
Right.
Right. So it was more like that. But I did actually get a chance to go down to Windsor to meet Konami UK.
Oh, awesome!
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Went on a very drunken night out with them, so.
Drunken night out with Konami, right there.
There you go.
I'm sure that's a story within itself. But our next question comes from Yong Yeah.
Yep, so this is like a two-part question. The first part being, when did you begin developing the Metal Gear Remake, and what inspired you to begin this project in the first place?
I think it was in May of last year, I think. I could be wrong, like. When I started, it was a guy called Glenn Eckhart. Mm-hmm. I seen the project on Metal Gear Solid Forum. Mm-hmm. So I seen him advertising on there, and I'd done like a couple of artworks like in the past. So I submitted them to him and said, you can use these for the game, and he just invited me onto the team then. So.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, very cool.
And for my second part is, how did you go about recruiting the members of Team Outer Heaven or Outer Heaven Productions? Were they people you knew, or did you have to get outside talent?
No, we didn't actually know anyone personally. Like,
okay.
As I said, with the mod database page, that was where we mainly advertised for people. But then once, we started getting in the press and stuff like that, people started coming to us then, like yourself, so.
Okay, I see. That's cool.
So,
thank you.
My question regarding the Metal Gear Remake is, from what we've seen from you guys, the art style was it was different. It was it kind of, to me, had almost a shell shaded type look to it, but very like stylized, nice looking Metal Gear game. How did you guys come up with that kind of style when Metal Gear itself has a particularly dark palette shade to it, and all of the games, with the exception of Metal Gear 2, which brighten things up a little bit with the orange and yellows. Most of the games are dark and gritty, but you guys had a nice, clean-looking one. What was the decision to go with that art style?
Well, none of that was actually finished. We would have added now tops with a look. We were aiming to try and get it to look similar to Metal Gear Solid 2.
Okay.
Like on that top. Right. With the cutscenes, we planned to go the Peace Walker route of like the animated comic style.
Oh, awesome. That would have been really cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Initially, like, that was our main goal. Like, so we started like hiring and trying to get people who could match Shinkawa's style. Mm-hmm. Eventually, we came across a guy called Shiraz Ali, who's now actually working with us on Cold Horizon as well.
Cold Horizon.
Oh.
Yeah, we can definitely see if we compare some of the Metal Gear Remake artwork with some of the stuff that we see with Cold Horizon. We can see his talents and his influence there as well. So thank you for answering that. Ronin, you're next.
Yeah. Did you guys, plan to take any sort of like creative liberties with the project? For example, in the satirical aspect with the original game's poor English translation, for example. You guys have any of that planned at all?
Yeah, we did want to poke fun a little bit. There's a part in the remake, in the original, sorry, with Diane's brother where he says something about sleeping. We were going to use that line and make fun of that. There was a lot of other like little instances which I can't really remember. We want to put in a lot of Easter eggs as well. Like, hang on, can't think now. Yeah, there's a part with because from the Lord, the Vulcan Raven was actually meant to be out in heaven.
Yeah.
So like would have been parts like where you'd see ravens and stuff like that.
Right.
So like loads of little cool Easter eggs that we wanted to. There's another one actually which I thought was brilliant. Snake actually, in one of the gameplay sequences, Snake had hold up a guard, and he'd ask the identity of Mr. X, who's obviously a big boss.
Right.
The guard had said yeah, but obviously we had Hater voicing it, so he would have said, "Damn it, Bowers at it again."
Nice, thank you.
Young, yeah, you're up next, buddy.
How much progress did you make with this project? What did you and didn't you finish? And did the game reach playable form?
No, it didn't reach playable form. I think we were only like 3 months into development, but the point that we reached, like when we started, getting a lot of attention from the press, and that we actually planned to switch engines. We were going to go to the Unreal Engine 4, so we could make the game a lot better. We actually hired a guy from Ubisoft. He started working with us, and that was his main forte. Like so, that was why we wanted to switch.
Right. Okay, I see. So I was gonna ask if we were ever gonna see a gameplay demo showing a glimpse of what could have been, but now we know it never reached that level. So I gotcha. All right. Well, thank you for the answer.
Sadly.
Sadly. Very sadly. Yeah.
Next question, Ronin.
So, what was the initial reaction that you guys received when you revealed this remake for Metal Gear fans? How did it affect yourself, or you guys, and the rest of your team? For example, was it a positive one? Was it kind of middling? How did that take off?
Everything was positive. We see, the press, the fans, even people from the industry. Like everyone could see a lot of potential in it, and that's what really motivated us.
Yeah.
And like I think in those 3 months, we wouldn't have got half what we got done if we hadn't had the fans backing us. So
right.
I see.
Nice.
Young, yeah, you're up next.
What did you have in mind? I know it didn't reach playable form, but what did you have in mind for gameplay mechanics? Were you going to make a sort of over-the-top view, bird's-eye view? Was it going to be like some of the newer Metal Gear games where it's like third person? What were you going to keep and what were you going to change from the original game?
Well, as I said before, like Metal Gear Solid 2 was the main focus we wanted to try and get on that level. Like so with the cameras, we planned to have the fixed cameras. Then also wanted to add an over the top view as well, for that nostalgia feel. Like so.
So the camera would like maybe occasionally show like a more cinematic angle, because I know in Metal Gear Solid 2, for example, sometimes the camera pans, like it's not always over the top. Sometimes it pans behind Snake. It kind of shows different angles. So we're gonna have some of that cinematic aspect of it too.
Yeah.
I gotcha. And what did you have in mind for the story, characters, and dialogue? Just how much were you gonna change or expand on the original Metal Gear remake? Were you gonna add maybe any new characters or whatever?
There was some man characters that we'd added. Like there was an African general in the mission briefing at the start of the game. There was a few others which I can't really remember, to be honest. Some of the characters who weren't named, like Diane's brother or Jennifer's brother, we actually give them names, which I can't remember them either, unfortunately.
Yeah, I see.
But yeah, other than that, like the story, we would have just expanded on it. I don't really think there's any changes that needed really doing, more just expanding on.
I gotcha. So like adding some dialogue where there wasn't dialogue, and then the cutscenes and I read some of the scripts that you sent me because I auditioned for a few of the roles, and I saw like with some of the bosses like Fire Trooper and whatnot. Originally they had just like one line and then bam, the boss battle begins.
Right.
But with your script, I saw you had like this extensive kind of exchange between like kind of like with the Metal Gear Solid games where they kind of talk a bit and kind of maybe trash talk each other a bit before they engage in battle. So that was really cool to see. So.
Well, as I said, like we were doing, we were researching, stuff like Spetsnaz for the maker, stuff like that. So we were researching all of that kind of stuff, wanted to include like little bits of backstory within the dialogue.
Right.
Gotcha. That's cool.
I'm curious how much David Hayter influenced that. When we interviewed David a little while back, he mentioned that he did lend a hand writing some of the script. You guys would write something, and he would add his kind of flavor to it. So if anything, I'm sure it would be cool to look back and see how that script had evolved. And that was a great question there, Young. Ronin, you are up, buddy.
All right, so I know you guys. Oh, sorry, what were you gonna say?
One more thing I wanted to add to the Youngs as well.
Yep.
There was one change with the the Metal Gear boss at the end. You don't really fight the finished Metal Gear in the original.
Mm-hmm.
So, we had the idea of like it'd be the same as the MSX version where you fight the unfinished one. You saved all the PWs, hence it's taking more time. So Metal Gear is finally built when you get there. So that's another like little Easter egg sort of thing we wanted to throw in.
Okay.
Nice.
That's really cool.
Man,
That's pretty cool.
this is something I want to play. We need a closed doors demo.
Right.
Ronan, what do you have, bud?
All right, so I know you talked about how you had some contact with some of the people from Konami, for example. But I was wondering if you guys had any contact with people from Kojima Productions specifically. Was there anyone that you could mention that you worked closely with on this project that you felt probably stood out the most?
We didn't actually speak to any
Really?
productions.
Oh wow!
Really, yeah. But apparently, Kojima actually produced the project.
Mm-hmm.
I found that out on the drunken night out. So quote me, like as I said, drunk.
Wow.
I see.
All right.
Nice endorsement.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
All right. This is my last question, but I also have a few community questions that I'd like to ask after this. What was it like working with David Hayter? Just what was the experience like of working with, I guess, the legend himself?
It was just amazing. It was hard to be professional sometimes because you just can't help being a fanboy.
Yeah, exactly. We know what you're.
Yeah.
We know what you mean. We recently interviewed him, and it was just.
He has that effect on people. He likes to slip into his snake roll a lot, and that stops the professionalism.
Yeah, just out the window. Yeah, but
It was great working with him. Like he's like one of the most genuine people I've ever had the pleasure to work with. Yeah. Hopefully we'll be able to work again. But I can't really comment on that.
You guys should have him voice the polar bear.
There you go. Done and done.
Now how did that work between you and David Hayter? Would he just send you audio files? You would send him the script, and then he'd send you the audio files online? How would that work with the exchange of voices?
Like you said, it was all done through email, really. Well, the only recording that we actually got done was, for the trailer. We had a few different takes of it.
Okay.
So.
Gotcha. Cool. Thank you.
And the work on the trailer he did was great. That was a fun trailer to watch, and you guys did a good job on that one. Young, I think we're down to your community questions, unless Ronan, you had anything else.
Oh no, that's it.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
All right, Young, your community questions.
All right,
sir.
I'll roll these out as fast as I can. So we got one from Gamchon, YouTube, weird names. What game?
A guy on YouTube.
Yeah. Could you just specify what game engine did you use for the Metal Gear remake?
We started with the Source engine, then eventually, we didn't actually do the switch, but we planned to switch to before.
Okay, and then the Red Boss Gaming YouTube asks, how much did development cost for this game?
No, 0. That was
Zero?
all done in our free time, so it didn't cost
Oh.
us a penny. Yeah.
Oh, really? Wow, that's crazy. Next up is Noxo from YouTube. How hard was it to find voices for the characters that were never voiced before, and how was the process like to choose them? You know, because all of it was in-game dialogue without the voices. So how for the characters that have never been voiced, how was it like casting them? Was it a difficult thing to do?
Well, like I touched on before, with like research and stuff, like you know, we'd look at the character's origin and we'd try and get an actor either from that country or, you know,
Okay.
someone who could, you know, deliver a good accent.
Mhm.
Some of the characters we'd have ideas for, like Shopmaker.
Mhm.
I like the idea of like Mickey Rourke's performance in Iron Man.
Nice.
So
I got
we'd
you.
aim for something like that. But, you know, sometimes that could change and, you know, you get like an amazing audition, you'd think, yeah, that'll do. So,
Gotcha. Awesome. Thank you. Next up is the Delancey Throne from YouTube. Besides Metal Gear, what were some of your influences for the project, thematically, artistically, and in terms of writing?
spy movies, obviously, you know,
Yeah.
you've got to include them, like the Bourne films and, you know, Mission Impossible.
Okay.
They were really my inspirations. Like, I know the writer, he was into books like The Art of War, My Sun Tzu, and stuff like that. So they were mainly our influences, and obviously the games.
Next up is the Dark Fox Cannon from YouTube. Were you going to have Big Boss with a prosthetic arm in the game? Because in Phantom Pain, as we know, he loses an arm.
Well, we actually wanted to hint at it, but we didn't want to, you know, make it a prosthetic. In the, you know, the way the timeline is, we don't know whether he's going to end up with an
see.
arm like
Right.
liquid or whatever.
So,
So,
yeah, right.
yeah, so he would have just ordered one back or one that arm. That was the way we were seeing it. Like,
So would he hide his arm with maybe like a long sleeve and a glove, so you could kind of maybe it could be either way, that kind of thing? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. We wanted to stay true to the canon as we could. So.
Right.
Right.
Gotcha.
What's going to happen, you know, could be his mind.
Yeah, I gotcha. Next up is Dirty PMS from YouTube. Is it true that you had Paul Eiding lined up to play Campbell in the Metal Gear remake had the project continued?
That was actually his idea.
His idea?
He contacted.
Wow.
He contacted him. He said, you know, do you want me to ask the rest of the Metal Gear characters and see if we can get them on board? So we give him like a list, and then he was like, "Oh, Paul." As far as I know, Paul was the only one that actually agreed to do it.
Wow,
But I
that's
never
crazy.
actually talked to him personally, so.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. Campbell back in action.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Maybe we can ask him that when we bring him on the show next.
Yeah,
There
we
you go.
will. Next up is the Nocta Show from YouTube. Do you still have some of David Hayter's voice clips, and would you ever be willing to share those?
This is a good question.
With you know, I don't know, online on YouTube or whatever.
Yeah, as I said before, those we really had, because, you know, the takes for the trailer,
Okay.
it's probably about 5 different takes. They're actually on my personal YouTube channel as well, so
Okay.
they're already up online.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and those
There
are
you
those are the only audio clips that that David recorded?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see. Gotcha. Next up is Indian from YouTube. Did you have any? Well, I guess you kind of answered this. Did you have any Easter eggs in mind for the game from the previous? Yeah.
There's no more I can really think off the top of my head.
Okay. So I guess like you guys didn't go far enough into development to, I guess, think about Easter eggs. You're just kind of thinking about completing the game or you know, getting the assets and the main things done before thinking about things like that.
We did actually have a list somewhere.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't know where it is, but yeah, we did plan a lot. Like, we probably had like about 12 pages full of ideas.
Wow.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
All right, and my final question from Axel Steele: were you planning to tweak the story to better fit canon and to better connect the games that take place before and after Metal Gear 1? Because you know, I'm sure Hideo Kojima didn't plan Metal Gear 1 with Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, 4, Peace Walker, whatever in mind. So
Right.
were you going to tweak things a little bit to just kind of connect all those games, or were you just going to keep it, strictly just Metal Gear 1?
Put Sniper Wolf in there.
There you go.
You know, we would have, as I said before, like we would have expanded on it.
Okay.
We would have brought up stuff from Peace Walker and Portable Ops and Phantom Pain if it managed to come up before we released, like so.
So you're just gonna like reference all those games in some maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
That's cool. And
Awesome.
yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Do you
Well-
guys have any questions left?
I don't have any questions, but I do want to say thank you for speaking about that topic. Obviously, with the things that happened with it, I'm sure it's not the most fun thing to talk about, but the fans here really were interested in the prior work as well as the new stuff coming up from you guys. So I appreciate you guys taking the time and talking to us about those particular subjects, and we look forward to the next line of questioning, which we have regarding Cold Horizon. Now, if it's okay with everybody, I'd like to play the Cold Horizon trailer, if everybody's all right with that. You guys good with that? Is that okay?
Yeah,
Sounds good.
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so here, without further ado, is the Cold Horizon trailer. And there we have it. That is the Cold Horizon intro teaser trailer, I guess is what we're going to call it. We don't have any solid gameplay trailer yet. But, let's start off questions here. Young, you want to take the lead on this one?
Yeah. First of all, Ian, I know you said you're busy. Are you willing to stay with us, or do you have to get back to work to promote Cold Horizon? Because now that we're, I guess, done with the Metal Gear remake, do you want to continue with us here, or?
I should be okay for about another 5
Okay.
or 10 minutes.
All right. Let us know whenever you need to go.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. So my first question is, a lot of people saw the trailer and they were intrigued, but they still don't quite know what Cold Horizon is. So tell us, what is Cold Horizon exactly? What genre would you classify this game? Just give us a brief rundown of the game.
Sure thing. Well, I'd firstly just want to say, though, a big thank you to everyone, to you and your community for giving us time to talk about the game and taking the time to watch the trailer and share it and leave feedback. And we really do appreciate you giving us a platform to talk about Cold Horizon. So thank you for that. But basically, it's a real mix of genres. I mean, at first glance, you can probably see the platform and influence for the mini in-game section during the trailer. That is definitely a theme within the game, but there will also be some action adventure. We're going to be adding some combat in there. There's going to be boss battles, there'll be stealth sequences, you'll see puzzles to solve, and there'll be characters to talk to. It sort of encompasses a lot of your favorite genres and kind of mashes them up together, hopefully creating something fun. But as you can see from the trailer, the polar bear and the child are on their back, are the heart and soul of the game. They're brought together through very dramatic circumstances and now rely on each other for survival. There's a real sort of synergy between them, which is going to be really important throughout the game. And that the game basically is a documentation of their journey from winter through to winter, due to the seasonal changes. They're going to be fended off patrolling hunters, contending against the seasonal changes of a post-apocalyptic landscape. Struggling with their own needs along the way. You can see that the boy's got these abilities, which we're not quite ready to talk about, but there are some, there are things within that. And yeah, it's just basically seeing how this unusual relationship is going to start coming together and why the hunters are so desperate to get these two people.
Wow, it sounds like a very ambitious project, just mixing all these genres.
Yeah.
Ray, real quick on a technical side, your camera for me has frozen. Would you mind refreshing that for us?
Come back.
It's still loading on my end.
Yeah, same.
There we go. Okay.
All right.
Perfect. All right. So, knowing now what Cold Horizon is about and what it is, my question, this might have to be answered by both of you because it relates to some of the Metal Gear stuff that we just talked about. Why so different? You guys have, at least some of the team over at Big Cake Games worked on the Metal Gear remake, and now we're in a story where, like you said, it's a post-apocalyptic. We have a polar bear. We've got a kid with powers. Why so different of a genre if you guys had the assets and basically the steam to make a stealth action game? What made you guys switch to this? Was it to form your own identity as Big Cake Games and to get away from that, or was there something else behind it?
Yeah, that was the main thing. We wanted to. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you carry on.
So that was the main thing. We wanted to, get our own identity, like you said.
That's
but,
what we
obviously.
Sorry, go ahead.
Because a lot of the people come from all different backgrounds, so it's basically just a massive all our ideas into one. That's why it's all over the place in terms of gameplay elements and stuff like that. But when you put it all together, it will make sense.
Right, and I think
as well,
sorry, I've got a question for.
Sorry, I was just going to add to that as well.
Yeah.
It's fair to say that. I was just going to say it's fair to say the team is inspired by the last project, and we just sort of carried that experience into this one. Really, I mean, you can see that from the artwork and the gameplay, and just wanted to sort of reiterate that really.
Yeah, we're following. There's just a slight delay. I'm not trying to talk over anybody. There's a slight delay from you guys to us, I believe, because of the overseas nature of this call. But my question to Ian was: did you find it from a promotional standpoint harder to promote a game like this than maybe the Metal Gear reboot, which already had established fans, or were you guys so behind this new project that it just kind of fit right in?
It kind of fitted right in, to be honest. From the off, we've had little bits of articles on the web and stuff like that. So I think it's just coming off the back of the Metal Gear remake. So our name's basically still about. So
yeah,
thought it was a good time to start announcing stuff. And
sounds good.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go now anyway.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us, man. We really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yep.
No problem.
Bye.
Take care.
Take care, guys.
care.
Bye.
See you, man.
All right, Ray. All the pressure is on you, sir.
The weight's on the shoulders.
All right, let me move you over real quick, and
I'll rearrange the cameras.
yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily, I don't have to rearrange the Skype cameras, just the show cam.
Okay.
So we're okay.
All right.
Oh, except for Yong's cam.
Oh, yeah, I just noticed that on my end too. Gotta fix that.
All right. So, Ronan, when you get your cam situated, you're up next, sir.
All right. Actually, I can go now. In fact, I got it taken care of.
Go ahead.
Okay, so for me, I'm kind of a fan of games that take place in Arctic settings or post-apocalyptic settings, for example. So can you tell me what exactly sets this game apart from other games that are in a similar setting along these lines?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the first thing to say is that the world has not actually been impacted by a sort of a massive nuclear explosion, and not everyone is not suffering from radiation poisoning or turning into zombies or werewolves or whatever. This is a very different kind of post-apocalyptic
Okay.
dealing with. It's emphasised more by a clear lack of resources, I suppose. Like everything has kind of become more sparse and barren. And that kind of puts every living being on the planet at the same level. That's humans, animals, even plant life. But because humanity's abused the planet for so long, there's nothing left for them, and they're sort of forced to feed off the land where they perhaps weren't before and survive naturally. And that's why you're seeing hunters pop up might expect. Just a polar bear, and they're thinking that's my ticket to survival for the next week. So they're really going to be acting to.
Nice.
So
All right.
it's more about survival than.
But I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think definitely survival is a key theme in that. But I think what's made it unique as well, it's sort of documenting the journey of the boy who has to scavenge to survive. We've seen humans do that across all sort of entertainment mediums, but I think what's going to make it special and a bit different is also seeing that from the perspective of an animal who's never been able to experience the wild before. An animal's been in captivity for most of their life, and all of a sudden is now free to explore world. And what do I do? Where am I? It's kind of like does she cater to her natural instincts, or does she kind of rear back into a shell and use the comfort she had when she was catered to? So I think it's going to be quite different in that regard.
That's cool. Nice. Thank you.
Y'all, you are up, sir.
Yep. So how did Cold Horizon's development begin? How was the team assembled, and how big is the team?
Well, I think my camera's gone again. Do apologise.
It's okay. You're good.
Development Cold Horizon began almost straight away after the cease and desist from Konami. I think the team literally leapfrogged between projects, so it was. But it's obviously in between that, it was a case of deciding what to do, and obviously that we didn't want to create a lull where people weren't sure what they wanted to be aimless or restless and decide, well, we want to go somewhere else. So we want to leave. I think the team had always wanted to be, they always wanted to do something within gaming, and they always wanted to do something together. So basically, the game sort of came about from some sketches from Shiraz Ali, who Ian mentioned a bit earlier on, was working on MGX. He was actually the cutscene director for MGX, and he's basically taken the lead now on Cold Horizon. And with that, he's basically his concept art has actually sort of spurred the idea on of just drawing a polar bear and a child, and the game sort of just came off from that, really. And as I say, we're actually about 8 months into development now, but we're still in fairly early stages. We've been trying to sort of develop the narrative and get everything spread and developed and build a campaign, really.
Now, speaking of 8 months in development, how far has that gotten you with Cold Horizon? Basically, how far along are you with the game? Is it playable at this point, or are you just still conceptualizing? What stage is the game in right now?
It's not playable yet. We're shooting to be playable, I think, hopefully by June. We're hoping to get a playable demo by then of something, perhaps a couple of levels. But basically, the 8 months we've spent developing has been a case of obviously rebuilding the team, because obviously we did lose some people. We're actually now about 10 to 12 strong. Okay. We've got getting the character licenses down, building a story, deciding how to launch the title, building campaign, spreading the word. We've also been working on the mechanics, the levels, how they were going to appear, the backgrounds, developing our subcast. So there's a lot of things we've been doing, but obviously the 8 months we've been primarily focused on making sure the narrative is right before we really dive into getting all the mechanics done, because we want that to drive the game.
So a lot of the foundation basically is what you've been working on with the 8 months.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
All right. Well, my next question actually kind of fits right into that. You spoke about the game being over multiple seasons, basically acts or chapters, and then you talked about some of the gameplay mechanics. What kind of game is this? Is this going to be a game where we're progressing from level to level, or is it a blend of maybe like an open world, like seamless through like 2D side scrolling? What can you give us an idea, like when we're playing the game, is it going to be broken up into basically mini parts, or will it all feel connected?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be broken up into 5 acts, and each act is going to be represented by seasonal change. So Act 1 is going to be winter, and we're going to finish the game back up in winter in Act 5. And in the midst of that, we're aiming for about 4 levels between each act, but the last level will be a boss level. And it's interesting, you quite illustrated a point about MGX earlier on, and Ian was talking about how they were conceptualizing bosses in that. Right. We're actually going to aim to make the boss and the character interact very, very similar in that Metal Gear regard, having that banter going on and having a real dialogue exchange. We really want to kind of give the bosses a character and a substance, rather than just making someone you kill at the end of a level.
Of course.
And I think that's something we really want to try and do with Cold Horizon. Is that thing we massively learned from MGX, is we want to make a narrative game first and foremost. Okay. And and I think that's probably the biggest lesson we took away.
we can confirm that it won't be a QTE event to kill the boss, right? The game's already got a high score from me then.
There you go.
Now, just going off of daily, how long do you think the game will be? As far as I mean, obviously this might change in development, but just as far as you can tell right now, how what's your goal for how long you want to make this game? Like each chapter.
I think roughly we're aiming for 20 levels in total. But having said that, the levels themselves are probably going to vary in size. So there will be, I mentioned earlier on, we're looking at puzzle solving as well as combat. And I think there's going to be some levels which are going to be quite more involved with puzzle solving. There's going to be some levels where you're going to have to pay more attention to your stealth. And there's also going to be more that just a bit of a mix of the two, really. So, but we're in with about 20 levels at the moment. In terms of hours played, not sure yet. I mean, it's still a bit early to say that, but we're going to try and make it a good size length. Sounds good.
Perfect. Ronin.
First of all, I want to give props to your artist team for the concept art that has come out so far. Like I said, I'm a big fan of games that take place in the Arctic environments or post-apocalyptic environments. But my question is, how exactly has the process been, translating the art into actual, 2D, 3D environments into the game? Like, what exactly has it been like an easy process? Have you guys had to, repurpose things that you may have, brought over from the previous projects? How did that go exactly?
Yeah, it's been quite smooth actually. I mean, the director Shiraz, he's very, very talented guy. He never stops working. I mean, I'll be going to bed at 2 a.m. my time, and he'll still be up. He'll still be working. I'll wake up for work. He's still working. He's a machine in that regard, and but he's also working on sketches regularly. At 20 minutes, you say, "Hey, what do you think of this, guys? This is a bit rough," and we're looking at it and we're thinking that doesn't look rough to me. So he's a real workhorse. But I mean, the team themselves, they've worked really well together, and obviously Shiraz is our sort of bring the sort of the catalyst for that. But we've also got Alwira, who's doing our background art, which you've probably seen some clips of that, sort of the frozen environment.
Yeah.
She's been designing the looks of the levels, and we think there's a nice complement of styles there between the two of them, and she's does some stunning work as well. But in terms of the actually bringing that into the game, I mean, you've obviously seen the trailer that was put together by Gus, who's been working on that, and he's done a fantastic job of merging both the gameplay and the cutscene sort of style that you've sort of seen there. Yeah. And the actual gameplay section was put together by our programmers Prem and Evan, who are also they've managed to take what Shiraz has done and just make it feel authentic to the game, and it's a nice halfway home between a cutscene and
nice. Sorry, you got caught off in that last part. You said it's a halfway point between a cutscene and a.
Oh, sorry. It's sort of the halfway home we feel between like a sort of a cutscene and sort of the concept art that we've created for the game. Yeah. So we feel it's somewhere in the middle that, and it really sort of, it feels more authentic to a game, I guess.
Gotcha.
Perfect.
Gotcha.
Young.
So my question to you, you gave us a bit of a synopsis for what Cold Horizon's setting and story will be, but my question to you is, what kind of story are you trying to tell with Cold Horizon? Like, why a polar bear and a child? What made you decide on these two entities as the driving force of the story? Just and what kind of story are you trying to tell with these two very different kind of species?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think friendship is going to become definitely the heart of this story, and I think finding the friendship and a bond in a place that you probably wouldn't have believed possible. I mean, it's when it seems like the world is against you and everyone's at your back, you find courage and compassion in a place which seems like a hopeless place and seems an impossible situation. And obviously these two characters are not meant to be friends. They're not meant to ride together or protect one another. But that's what they're doing. They're sort of giving themselves to one another is because they know alone they probably wouldn't last long out on their own. But together they're stronger. And I think to me that they've actually become found a friend in one another and they trust in one another. And I think it's for a polar bear and a child, we felt it was mostly uncharted territory, and we want to kind of explore what that relationship, where it may stem from, where it could lead. Polar bears are really fascinating, graceful creatures, which I love to watch them. I love watching programs about them. And I think for Ira remaining in captivity for most of her life and never having the opportunity to rear a cub, this would be sort of her way of being like a mother to this child.
and sort of how that relationship would be governed and how it could play out potentially in these sort of supernatural circumstances. So I think it creates an interesting possibility in this file. And I think with Irish, you can sort of sense that these hunters they're after the child for whatever reason, and because of that, she feels like she needs to protect the boy from whatever harm may come to him. So
awesome.
I think that's it's kind of that's what makes us feel that's what we're doing.
I'm looking forward to seeing the story behind
this reminds me a lot. I don't know if you guys know about I think he's called the Lion Whisperer, where he actually he interacts with lions. Like he legitimately goes up to lions and he like hugs them and pets them, and they love the guy. And I kind of know what you mean by finding, I guess, like a friendship in the most unexpected places. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out.
Well, luckily, my next question is actually wrapped into the same one that Ronan has. So, Ronan, I'm going to let you ask that next question.
So, after reading and hearing about the synopsis of the general story of the game, it instantly reminded me of another game that came out a few months back called Never Alone. It's an indie title about a Native American girl and a white fox. It takes place in Alaska. Can you say that there was there anything that you could talk about that may have inspired you for you guys to go about this story? And if you're able to talk about how closely the bear and the child will work together in terms of gameplay mechanics?
Sure. I mean, this is not the first time we've heard the Never Alone comparison to the bear, really? And I think at this stage in development, where you're starting to see some of our ideas come together, but not see much gameplay. It's understandable why people would come to that conclusion, no doubt. But having said that, people have come to us about the trailer and said it's reminded them of Okami, it's reminded them of Ico, the Golden Compass, the Banner Saga, Polar Express. Some people said Metal Gear Polar. It's all sorts of things.
Confirmed. The baby's name is David.
There you go.
It's Big Boss.
Yeah, right. But I think that's the cool thing about the art style. I think the feel of the game, it's going to mean different things to different people. And I will say, though, that development started on Cold Horizon before anyone knew about Never Alone. I think that launched in mid-November. We started in September. And Shiraz, who's obviously inspired the game, he hadn't even heard of it until quite recently, actually, because a lot of people are actually playing on PS Plus for the first time right now. But I mean, we've seen what they've done, and they've done fantastic things, and obviously they've received critical acclaim and hope to sort of get that same acclaim when re-release, and they've done something fantastic there. But I think with our with the seasonal changes and the sub characters we're introducing and the gameplay focus, which is going to sort of focus more on one entity with the child and the bear rather than two characters you can interchange between. I think that that there'll be some big differences between the two games, and hopefully our next teaser will give you an idea of those kind of changes.
Is the game itself going to be strictly a side scroller, or will we see any kind of other elements to it?
Yeah. I mean, I think side scrolling will probably be the main feel at first. However, with the I mentioned stealth and combat and boss battles, I think that you're going to see different perspectives as you're going through the game. Okay. But I mean, it's going to be. Side scrolling will probably seem like the predominant theme throughout, but there will be things that we'll be doing as well, which is different.
I asked that because when we were speaking with Ian, Young brought up a good point about the camera angles being brought into the Metal Gear remake, and I'm curious maybe if we're going to see shifts in camera and perspective where it will still technically be a side scroller, but maybe the camera shifts to give better angles to tell your story better.
Maybe zoom in and out a bit from on occasions as when you go in a cave and then it zooms in or something. I don't know, just any variations in camera that we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're still thinking about certain things to add into the game, but we've thought of some possibilities that would work well with what you've just said, and we're considering those definitely.
Now, to go off on what Daly asked about gameplay, in the trailer we saw kind of the bear side-scrolling a bit with the child. Was that actual gameplay, or is that just a representation of what gameplay will look like?
I mean, it's very early, but it gives you an idea of how the game will sort of play out. I mean, the background art there, and you saw the bear running across the environment. I mean, that's going to look very much as you're going to see it for an extent of the game, but as well, it's going to be quite, as I say, we're looking at other options as well for perhaps boss battles or things like that, perhaps.
Okay, but that was an actual game. It was just kind of like a concept, render. Okay, cool.
Right.
Cool.
All right, Young, was that tied into your question there?
I got more questions left, but that was. If you guys want to go next.
Yeah, I could. Well, I had a question that, like I said, it's kind of tied into this other question that you're marked up here on the questions list. I'm curious about when you guys do your release. The 2D side scroller market isn't bad. It's not a bad one to be in. There's some great ones out there. A Pantheon was one I just reviewed. It was a great 2D side scroller. And it had a ton of different features and elements inside itself that you don't find in a side scroller. Do you guys plan on doing things like that to kind of extend the life of your game so that maybe it's got a good replay value?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at possibilities, but as I mentioned with the seasonal changes, I mean that the child's powers will change for every season of the game. So
every season they change?
Yeah, so there's
awesome.
going to be 4 changes throughout the game. Obviously, because winter to winter, in winter the child will revert back to what he started with. So yeah, and those changes they can impact the game in different ways. So from a puzzle perspective, from a combat strategy perspective, from other perspectives within the game, I think it's going to hopefully keep it quite fresh throughout. And at the same time, hopefully, when you come back to Act 5 after Act 1, and you've sort of mastered the winter abilities, because it's going to make some big changes at the end.
Do these powers stack on top of each other, or do they just completely change? Like you won't use the powers from winter in summer, etc.
Yeah, they'll completely change.
Okay.
So basically, everything you did in winter will be you'll have to relearn effectively in spring.
Okay, gotcha.
Nice.
Ronan, your turn.
This is actually my last question of the interview. So, without going into particular spoilers about the game story, can you at least confirm that the player's heartstrings might be pulled at some point to draw some sort of emotion at some point in the game?
Yeah, I mean, well, the setup of the game is already pretty sad. I mean, you control an ex-carnival polar bear who was stolen from her parents when she was a cub and has been left to rot in a cage for years when she was surplus to requirements as a carnival's feature attraction. But you're also controlling the small boy who's seemingly been split from his family and relying on a polar bear to get him to safety, and that's his only friend in the world. So I mean, there's some sadness already there, but we think it's going to be a pretty, I think the journey's going to be quite intense.
We're going to have day 1 weapon DLC, right?
Naturally.
Solid Snake baby costume DLC.
Young, everybody. Young, what do you have next?
All right, so something that really struck me when I was watching the trailer was the soundtrack. I actually found a bit of Asian influence in there. I could be wrong, but just going off on that, what cultures did you draw inspiration from for just the setting, the soundtrack, the art style, the story? What cultures did you draw from?
Yeah, I mean, Chris and Alex are guys. They've actually caught a variety of styles in that trailer. I mean, Chris has actually got he's half Filipino, and Alex, he's not half Filipino, but he owns many flutes he's brought from places he's visited, like Thailand and Bali, and he's also got a log drum from Africa as well. So it's pretty decent. But yes, Alex used the Balinese gamelan. I think I've pronounced that right. Apologies if I haven't. They also use the duduk flute, although that's Middle Eastern. But Alex collects ethnic flutes from around the world, and he's been using that in his score. And you definitely did detect some Asian influence in there, and you probably will again in future scores when it comes to looking at the game, because the team are looking to draw from a range of cultures with the game due to it to sort of help emphasize the unity between the two characters, I guess, and to help you get a feel for that.
Cool.
That's awesome. Good detective there work, Young, on checking that out. Now, my last question, because I didn't hear it, I'm culturally inept, I guess. My last question is about the story itself. We've talked all the way up we've been talking for about an hour. and we've heard a lot of good stuff. But my question is that when we play this game, obviously we're going to try and get from one season to the next, and there's going to be a story in there. But is it going to have depth and detail to it? Like, is there going to be a reason why this child has powers, and is there a reason why the polar bear didn't just eat it? And, stuff like that. Is it going to be in depth like that, or is it just going to be because?
Yeah, no, I think we've got I think we've got something that's quite fresh, and we definitely got a reason to sort of explain how this unusual partnership has worked. As you say, it's well, yeah. But I think, I mean, with the boss battles, we're going to use in the different environments, the puzzle solving, and then that was with the narrative as well. We're not just kind of working on narrative between the bear and the child. There's also some subplots going on within the game, which actually relate very, very closely to their relationship. And, we're going to be talking more about those in the future. But, I think that there's going to be plenty going on, and I think there's a real epic feel to the game. Going across the environments and interacting with different characters and trying to figure out how these two are actually going to coexist across this pretty perilous journey. So.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that. I can already guarantee you that my man KorruptRonin over here is probably going to be live streaming that when it's available. Young, did you have?
Awesome.
Yep.
Did you have another question?
I have one last question for you. Tell the folks out there why they should look forward to this game. What makes this game unique? What separates it from everything out there? Why should they get their wallets ready for this?
I mean, it's easy for me as a lead to come on here and just gush and big up a title and try to sell it to you, but I'm an ex-games journal myself, and I've played a lot of games in my time, and I actually became attracted to this project through the art style myself, and I've come into it, and now I've seen these guys working. I really do think that they have actually got special foundation, and I think that there's something really interesting and different about this project, and I think that relationship and that bond is going to stick in people's minds, and they're going to be wondering to themselves how this is possible, and how they're actually going to survive this environment. And as I've already illustrated about the boss battles, the environments, and the puzzle solving, there's a lot to the game. So I'm looking forward to sharing more with you guys, and I really do think that it's going to be one worth watching.
Sounds
awesome.
Good.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Maybe we can have you back closer to launch time, and we'll check on the progress of the game, and see just how far you guys have come. Now, for those of you who are still here, there's I think about 115, something like that, left here. We've got some exclusive things to look at and go over. If are you still okay with time? Can you still hang out with us for a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. So we're going to go through the stuff that was shared with us, and we'll let you kind of talk about each one of these I don't know if they're just concept. I haven't even looked at them myself, just to keep the anticipation up. So let me pull these up here for the stream, and we will share what we have here. So first off, we have a sprite image, I believe, of a Cold Horizon with I believe it looked like a wolf character in a gas mask.
Yeah, this is actually going to be a look at one of the boss characters. Our boss characters are, in some occasions, they're going to be you're going to be confronting a hunter, but you're also going to be confronting an animal as well.
Okay.
So in some occasions, you're going to have to figure out how to confront both of them, which is going to be quite interesting. But yeah, I mean, the guy you're seeing there is it's kind of hard to really describe without saying too much, but
right.
I think
tell us what you can. We understand that, like you said, you're far out from the playable state and whatnot. So obviously we don't want to even spoil it for ourselves. But right. tell us what you can.
Yeah, I mean, the boss characters you're going to encounter are actually going to be related, without saying too much. But they are going to be very critical to the bear's background. And okay. And I think that there will be some tense moments in those boss battles, both in terms of the dialogue interactions and also the encounter itself, I think.
Awesome. So the next piece that we're looking at, I just pulled it up on screen, is a woman holding what looks like to be a child. Very kind of stylized art. Can you tell us anything about this character? What she is? Is this the boy's mother? Is there going to be kind of I don't want to call it a prologue, but kind of an explanation on why he's been abandoned? And is that what we're looking at even?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're going to be doing throughout the game. We're going to be doing flashback sequences as well.
Oh, awesome!
To kind of illustrate what's happened prior to this scenario.
Right.
And yeah, you are looking at the mother there, but it's you're going to find out a lot. I think it's hopefully the points that are raised during the actual gameplay hopefully are going to be more emphasized by past occurrences, basically, and they're going to hopefully have more weight and more impact when you come to those sequences in the game.
Awesome.
Really digging this art style.
Yeah. The next piece of art that we just put up on screen is a scary-looking dude with an axe. Who is this guy? He clearly has got to be a bad guy, right? This can't be the boy's father.
No, he's good as they come.
Main hero.
No, yeah, absolutely.
All right. So
no,
is that bad guy?
This is going to be again one of our boss characters.
Awesome.
A lot more sinister. But there's a real story to tell with this one, with the relationships between the characters.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right, so we're not going to spoil too much on this one. I will say that the first thing that we looked at, the sprite little animated character, that looked more of like a fun boss fight. Like that looked like a cool one. This one, like you said, this one looks kind of scary. Like I can see the blood-covered snow already.
Yeah.
Which
I think that I think that obviously people will see it and they'll perhaps think it's quite cute and quite artsy, but I think there's a dark side to this story as well, which is what going back to your point about Never Alone. I think although that had its dark tones too, I think that Cold Horizon is probably going to be darker than you're expecting.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question in regards to some of this art, because as I said, this is my first time seeing it, so I didn't include this question in the sheet that we sent you guys. But what are we slating this game for a rating for? Is this going to be a mature game?
Good question. I don't think it's going to be. I think we're probably looking. Yeah,
it seems like it could be a mature game. Obviously not. It obviously is clearly not going to be so over the top, but some of this art style and stuff. Well,
I mean, you're not looking at. And you're not looking Game of Thrones or Combat style gore here, but I think you're going to be surprised. I think in some circumstances. Definitely.
I'm going to bite somebody as the polar bear. I'm telling you.
There you go.
I can't wait for the Yong play and the amazing commentary that we're going to get from playing as the polar bear. So to wrap up, we have one more character that we just put up on screen. This guy doesn't look too bad. He is. He does look disappointed. Who is this character? Is this another boss?
Sorry, which one are you looking at now? I'm
the one with the scarf.
Gentleman with the scarf.
The guy with the scarf and the cane.
Okay.
Now this is, as you say, he's not too bad. This is the father character in the game.
All right, well, I'm going to rearrange this. I'm going to put the mother next to the father.
Oh.
Cold Horizon making connections. All right, so tell us what you can about the boy's mother and father. Is their story connected to the polar bear in any way, or is that kind of after the fact?
Oh, definitely, yeah. There's going to be a real connection there, and I'll just simply say that the father was a ringmaster at the circus at the time, and leave it at that.
There you go. Yang Theory videos coming out.
Yeah.
There you go.
And last but not least, I forgot we did have one more. We've got a guy in a suit and tie. Who is this guy? He's got
he looks evil.
This guy could be bad. This could be a bad guy.
Yeah, he's an interesting one, isn't he? He's sort of like, you look at him and you think, is he not?
And I think that's definitely what we've gone for with him.
Okay.
He's
the
there's a
G-Man.
degree. Yeah. Yeah, I guess you
G-Man.
could say Cold Horizon's version of a G-Man.
Or Gray Fox, neither enemy nor friend.
There you go.
Well, I appreciate you sharing this art with me and Yong and Ronin and the rest of the stream here. This stuff looks really cool. I'm into this kind of stuff, which that's why I'm sorry if Ronin and Yong, if I didn't let you guys get in here and ask any questions. Feel free to do that. I just kind of my nerd side kind of escaped real quick. I love this kind of art with story behind
just
it.
looking at it, I'm satisfied. I'm like, this looks great. This looks amazing. The artist is very talented.
Do you mind if I throw a question at you from the chat real fast?
Yeah, let's do it.
People are wondering if this game is. Do you guys have any plans for multiplayer, like co-op, for example?
No, not this time. No, it's as I sort of said before. It's a single player game, but it's going to be the bear and the boy are going to work together, but they're going to be doing different things. So they will have a different impact on the environment and the story.
Okay.
But it's single player.
All right, thank you.
All right. Well, did we have anything else for? Bless you.
Oh, bless you.
Did we have anything else for Mr. Wilmot from Yong?
I'm good.
What about you, Ronin?
That's it.
Mr. Wilmot, do you have anything to say to everybody watching? I believe there's 100-something people here watching. Then obviously, when Yong puts it up on his channel, it's going to get the Yong style views. So if you have anything to say to the fans out there, or anybody watching this video,
I just want to say thank you again for giving us this platform. It's been really interesting reading your feedback on the trailer. I just want to sort of, pay attention to the website. It's www.bigcakegames.com, and just say a big shout out to the team, Alex, Chris on the music, and Shiraz for the arts, and Ian for the PR, and everyone else who's worked on it, Alwira and Prem, everyone. It's everyone is just working together, and we really can't wait to share more with you very, very soon. Thanks,
awesome.
guys.
Well, we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on this one, and I know I speak from everybody at FraggedNation when I say thank you for joining us and taking time out of your day to be here and share some of the stuff that it's not really shared anywhere yet. I mean, I believe Leong said some of these things were exclusive, debuted here today, so amazing. Thank you guys for giving us that opportunity to share this kind of stuff with all of the loyal gamers that we have out here, and with the Hitbox community, as well as the Corrupt Assassins and the Nation over at Yong's channel. I'm sure everybody is going to be keeping an eye on this. As you said, bigcakegames.com.
Yeah.
All right. So that'll be in the description of the video, I'm sure. And thank you so much for joining us, man. And we look forward to having you back here on the show shortly.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Have a good one. Yep.
Take care.
Well, there we go, guys. Cold Horizon from Big Cake Games. Also, we talked a little bit about the Metal Gear remake. Oh, let me get my cam back on here. Y'all are seeing my pretty face. Again. Y'all are seeing my beautiful face here. But Yong, what are you thinking, man? I know you of everybody here was really excited to talk about the Metal Gear remake. Did you get all of the answers that you wanted? And how are you feeling about the shutdown of the project?
Yeah, I got a lot of interesting answers. I do wish the audio quality was better, because I couldn't understand a lot of. I'm gonna ask for subtitles, and hopefully I'll put that in the video when I upload it. I'm gonna ask Ian if he can look through the footage and just let me know what he said in certain parts, because there were some parts that I'm sure he was saying something important, and I was like, I don't know what he said.
I think it was a mix of the accent, and I think the headphones that he was using, and then I think
the
both
distance,
of these, I think both of these guys are from overseas.
Yeah, they're all from Europe. I'm not exactly sure where, but they're pretty far away, so that had a lot to do with it. But what I could understand, it was a lot of interesting answers. I mean, it was unfortunate that the project was shut down. I feel like they had a really interesting project going here. They kind of knew what they were doing. They were definitely fans of the Metal Gear franchise, and just what they were planning to do with connecting everything. And obviously, it's a sensitive matter when you're tweaking what's already established, so
Right.
I'm sure some fans would be against that, but I personally, it's a remake and it's a fan remake, and I'd be totally fine with them kind of doing their own thing as long as it's within the bounds of the lore and as long as it is Metal Gear. So yeah, it was interesting to hear all the things they were planning to do with it. But unfortunately, we couldn't get any like gameplay footage or whatever because they didn't get to that point, which is unfortunate. Unfortunate, bittersweet. We got some new intel, some new info, but also just knowing that the project will never get done. It's kind of disappointing.
I know that's so disappointing. I really wish they would have just went ahead and did it anyways, and just kind of like, kept it a closed doors fan thing. Like I don't think that technically breaks copyright laws if you're not making money off of it. I mean, that would be the same. I don't know how that works. I mean,
he said that it cost $0. That's what he said.
Right.
So,
exactly, and that's kind of my point. Like I think like when people like us, like Ronin, who plays games on on stream, and you who makes videos regarding games and stuff, I don't see that as any different as creating your own fan remake. As long as you're not selling it or branding it, I don't see why or how it could be closed. Maybe they just did it out of mutual respect for the company.
Yeah, for me, it's like if you draw an artwork for character in Metal Gear, is that artwork illegal? Like it shouldn't be, right? So it's the same.
Exactly right with that.
When you're making your own fan game, it's the same thing as just kind of drawing your own Solid Snake,
different medium
or whatever. Right? It's a different medium. So for me, it's I don't see how they are justifying.
I really wanted to ask them.
They have the reasons for it.
I'm sure they have the reasons. But I don't feel like it's something that's justified. I feel it's really unfortunate, but it's also good to see that they're respectful enough of Konami and the work that they do, that they're willing to shut it down despite all the work they put into it.
I'm curious that if this, let's pretend that the game didn't get shut down and it didn't get as much hype or as popular as it did at the time. I'm wondering if, with all the things going on at Konami right now, if it would have got popular at this stage, if they kind of might have not even cared or looked at it because they're dealing with their own internal things,
right,
and stuff like that. So that's a curious scenario where maybe a couple months down the road, Konami might have not even pursued it, but at that time they were steady working on Metal Gear 5 and. They had all of these plans, but now with all of these mix-ups and the stuff with Kojima, I'm curious if they would have even cared at this point about it. But something to keep in mind is he specifically noted that they were in contact with Konami UK, and I'm wondering, from what they said, that Konami UK was completely behind it. I'm wondering if it's just the people in Japan that were like, no.
That's probably what it was. The folks over at Japan are definitely more strict about the property, and the people who run Konami are in Japan. Konami UK is kind of a subsidiary of Konami.
Like Konami Los Angeles now.
Right, like the Kojima Productions LA, which is now Konami LA or whatever. So Konami, like Japan, runs everything, and they're definitely more weary about what fan whatever gets released and whatnot. So it's definitely Japan. I'm pretty sure.
There you go.
I got a feeling it is. I got a pretty good feeling it is.
Advice from me is if you're making something cool, never share it with anybody. Okay?
I guess they needed a lot of they needed voice actors, they needed people to contribute because it was such a big undertaking. That's why they kind of had to but yeah, maybe they made it a little too public, with David Hayter and all that. They made it so big and it blew out and people were excited, and that got Konami's attention, and then they kind of looked at it and decided to shut it down. So yeah,
maybe we'll see this revived after Metal Gear Solid 5 comes out, and
possibly.
Well, I don't know.
It's kind of unfortunate because you see things like this, not just with Konami specifically, but let's say, for example, with Nintendo and their stance on YouTube videos, for example, you see very similar things about them being very strict about copyright. So I feel like there's a good chance it's Japan.
You make a good point, Ronan. You see companies like that in the East getting really upset about that. But then you see game companies here in the West, like EA, who will pay you to
Right.
play their games
Right.
on stream and on your YouTube channel and stuff like that through EA. Was it EA Roku or something like that?
Asians.
Yeah, they don't.
Them Asians.
They don't want to share. But regardless of that, Cold Horizon looks like a very unique game. And coming from me, anybody who watches my stream and knows FraggedNation in general, mainly my focus there is shooters, competitive games, things like that. It takes a lot for a game that's not those games to interest me, and this one seems kind of interesting. That's why I've got great people and great streamers like KorruptRonin and the rest of the Hitbox FraggedNation TV staff that you can see. But if you click the FraggedNation TV button underneath this video, you can see all of the other streamers that we have. But that's why I have those guys, because I play the boring shooter. I play the Call of Duty. Stuff like that. I don't know who Steve Blum is. That's why I've got people like this around me to do that kind of thing. But this game kind of is interesting to me. And like I said, as soon as I opened up the exclusive concept art that you sent us, Young, the curiosity just peaked. Like, I want to know who this guy is.
Yep.
I want to know who this lady holding this baby is. Young, tell us how you're feeling about Cold Horizon. Are you and give us your honest feedback. Are you hopeful for this game? Are you excited for it? What do you think about it?
I am honestly intrigued, but I wish I personally think that it was unveiled a bit too early, because one of the big complaints is that people just don't know what this. It looks intriguing, but is it gonna play intriguingly? There's barely any. Like, they have a concept gameplay on the trailer. I wish they would have kind of shown, maybe waited a bit until they had some gameplay and then unveiled it. So people
maybe come on to the show with a gameplay trailer.
So people know what the game is, because even though because right now they're saying, it's a blend of all these genres, and that doesn't really help to explain. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't help to explain how the game will play, what this game really is, but the story, that sounds intriguing. The art, the stylistic aspects of it, all of that is really interesting, and I'm intrigued, but I still don't know what this game's about.
Yeah, cautious.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But so, optimistic.
Of course, they seem like they're behind it just as much as they were the Metal Gear remake. But Ronan, what are your thoughts on it, man? What do you think about Cold Horizon?
I honestly, I'm quite intrigued in it. I was intrigued from the day they announced that they were working on this project. I do agree with what Young is saying, the fact that they showed it perhaps a bit too early, because we still don't quite know what exactly to expect out of this. There's no gameplay trailers, and with them saying we're gonna mesh all these genres together into one game. It's like, yeah, but a lot of game developers say that too sometimes, and it's kind of hard to get an idea of what that means. But in all honesty, I feel like I'm rooting for them and staying positive about it. Cautiously optimistic, but optimistic.
Okay.
So I'll be checking that out when it comes out for sure.
I'm a sucker. When Call of Duty says they got something new this year, I believe them. So I believe these guys. I believe these guys. 100%. I really hope. I think Young had a great point there. Maybe the next time they come on the show, which I'm assuming they said they're aiming for June, I believe is what they said.
Gameplay, probably around E3 time.
So I'm saying that we have them back, and if you guys are still watching, Ray, I don't know, I know you left the Skype chat, but if you're still watching, maybe come on to the show and debut, a gameplay demo. We'll play it here live on the show. We'll get some. Some more people in here. I believe when we first started out, we had 170 something people here. We can promote it a little more, and we can make a debut here on the show for your gameplay. I'd love to do that. I'm sure Yang would love to see that, and Ronan, being the gameplay guy over here at FraggedNation, I'm sure he would love to do that as well. So that's something to keep in mind. We'll possibly have them back, but so. To close out, we got just a couple minutes left before we head out. The news that I was telling you guys during the offline section is Steve Blum, the guy who I don't know who he is. You guys can tell me who he is now. Who is Steve Blum? Am I saying his name right?
No, you got
Dog,
it.
don't
You
look
got
at me like that.
Just take a minute to stare at him for a
It's
second.
not fair, okay?
Stare at
I
him.
don't know all this stuff. Y'all making me feel bad. I know who Solid Snake is. That's what matters. I got a calorie, mate. Where's yours?
Truth. Touche.
So who is he and what does he do?
Let's put you on the right path. I'll give you a hint. He's a voice actor. Let's leave it at
Okay.
that. There you go. Now just figure it out for
Is he
yourself.
Batman?
No, he's actually pretty well known in voice acting in terms of video games, anime itself. He does a lot of one of the big voices that stood out to me that I did not realize was Spike from Cowboy Bebop.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
That's him.
I've seen that.
Yeah, the English dubbing of Cowboy Bebop. He's Spike. I believe he was in, I want to say, Bulletstorm. Might have been the main character for that too. Gosh, there's a lot of games that I've played.
He's
that
the
had his
main
voice
character
in
in Bulletstorm.
Yeah.
I think he was like a sub character in Mass Effect, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, I know. See, I know who he is. I just didn't
I know you played something that he's in.
And of course, he's a doorknob in Peace Walker.
Ah, right. Yes.
I didn't know that. See what I'm saying? Like I know who I know who. Okay, I know who Steve Blum is. I just didn't know who Steve Blum is. You know what I'm saying? So, the developing news with that is I know a lot of Yonk's fans and some of the guys at FraggedNation have been saying, interview Steve Blum. Well, we're going to have that opportunity, I believe. I'm still working it out, but basically there's a convention coming here to Jacksonville where I live, and I'm getting press passes and a booth set so that I can interview Phil Lamar there, the voice actor for Vamp. I believe he's on Saturday Night Live. And a couple other things. Vamp by far is my favorite role that he plays. But I also learned that Steve Blum was going to be there. And so I'm hoping to have either them one after another on the same day or spread over 2 days. And that's going to be it's going to be May 8th through the 10th, I believe. When the convention is going to be here, and that will be a live interview. Like it'll be like this, and then the person will be right here, and then Young and Ronin will be over here.
And Daly will be drooling. It'll be great.
It's just all over
I'm gonna ask Phil Lamar to stab me with a sword.
Nice. Nice.
So that I can live like Raiden. So. That's what we've got coming up. Also, for those of you who are just tuning in or were late, we've got a possible interview with Stephanie Justin between tomorrow and the 30th. I'm hoping she doesn't come and message you tonight, Young, and be like, all right, tomorrow.
Now.
Right this very second.
Right.
Yes.
So we've got her possibly in the next couple days. Paul Eiding just messaged me on Twitter last night and got my Skype information. So we're working with him. Mark Meir, working with setting up an interview with him. And then Lori Allen actually tweeted back FraggedNation and Yong Yao on Twitter saying that she is still interested in the interview. She's just doing some things right now and she's a little bit busy. So more interviews lined up for you guys. More amazing content from Yong, Ronin, and myself. And guys, what an interview! It was a good.
Oh yeah.
It's a little different interviewing developers than voice actors. It's more it's more game and information related rather than getting to know the person. Right, but. Like I said, we covered two great topics today. Make sure you check them out at bigcakegames.com, as well as check out KorruptRonin on hitbox.tv/KorruptRonin, Yang Ya on youtube.com/c/Yang Ya. And if you are feeling generous and you want to help support us, visit our sponsors, guys, the guys that make me be able to be here to run these interviews and to set things up. We've got Gamer Mods controllers, providing the controller that we played today, Mortal Kombat, and Siphon Filter. Man, Ronin, please go play Siphon Filter when we're done. I want to watch somebody play that. I want to watch somebody play that game. All right, just remember that when you're playing, These are your feet. This is how you strafe in the game. They've got 2 buttons for strafing, which is awesome. Steel Series headsets and keyboard for hooking us up with the gear. The guys over at SuperCon 2K who actually let me know about this this upcoming convention with Phil Lamar and Steve Blum, and No Scope Glasses, who provide gaming glasses for all of you gamers with vision problems. So with that said, Ronin.
Hold on, before I get that, just real quick, the chat is like losing their minds over getting Jan to say Mr. Sexy Vampire.
Okay.
They are losing their minds
There was a guy who literally tagged me in a post on the David Hayter interview who was mad at me for not telling you that he wanted you to say that. So can you do that for us?
Oh yes, Mr. Sexy Vampire. Very sexy.
Mr. Sexy Vampire. There you go. Are they happy now? That's what we aim to do here. We want to make everybody happy, man. We're not one of those. We're not that show that comes on and we don't mean to ignore you, but you gotta remember that chat scrolling like a billion miles an hour. So we can't answer everything. I really tried to though. Young even messaged me one day on YouTube and was like, or on Skype and was like, you don't have to respond to everybody on the YouTube. It's okay. I get it. My bad. Ronin, time to sign off, buddy.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys, and thank you for the support. This is KorruptRonin telling you guys to stay classy, stay sharp, don't do anything I wouldn't do, and I will see you all next time.
Check out his stream. Are you streaming today, Ronin?
My
desk.
Let's see, what time is it? Probably not today. I'm gonna try to get things set up for tomorrow's stream, so I'm done for the day.
Okay, perfect. Well, check him out tomorrow. He'll be live. From me, guys, thank you very, very much for coming to check out the channel. If you're not already following us, please leave us a follow. It helps out tremendously. If you'd like to help support the stream, keep us coming back, consider hitting that subscribe button. And Yang, it's my favorite part of the end.
Thank you for tuning in, folks. I'll see you guys next time. Yong out.
There you go, guys. Yong's out. We're out. We will see you guys on the next show. Thank you so much, and y'all have a great night.